Alright, we back. Let's recap this morning's video where we talked about the possibility of the same exact setup as Friday, which the gamma exposure chart essentially looked exactly the same upon open for the most part. It looked like there was a bunch of GEX at the 375. There was a lot sticking out here. 370 wasn't quite built up yet. As soon as we opened, people pile into the 370s, causing that to get become the node essentially, or the magnet, but it's too early. So what happens is it's too early. There's just too much gamma exposure support here essentially. So as time dwindles on throughout the day, we'll look at a chart here. As time dwindles on throughout the day, here's what it looks like. So we open up here 8:30, boom, right here. Open up. As soon as we spike down into the support zone area, people are locked and loaded in these 370s again. We didn't see a lot of buildup below that, and I talked about if we didn't see the buildup into the 365s, 370s were in danger of, again, Charm and Vanna coming in and squeezing them out of their positions. That wouldn't probably happen until later in the day because you need that time element to go exponential, as well as that IV to come down a little bit more. And so you'll get a situation where you get this double bottom. It's the exact same thing. Not exactly. I guess there was a triple bottom that happened on Friday if you're just looking at a 5-minute. But essentially you get the spike down, a retest. This one had a third retest. We'll just say that was because it was the first day of the month maybe. But a similar spike down, a retest, and then all day long, what's happening is these folks here in these 370s, 375s, and all the other strikes as well are just getting squeezed out of their positions. Not a lot of gamma being built up to the upside, so that would not be supportive of a move higher in the short term. I would expect more damage to be done to the downside in the near term, especially going into the minutes tomorrow. What will likely happen tomorrow, the plan would be something like, this area being tested, because that was sort of like the breakout. This is sort of like when bulls took control, even though they were well in control down here. This is where a lot of folks probably ended up getting long. So they'll probably end up getting retested, which is why my target is right below it. They'll probably end up getting retested. If we're watching this tomorrow and we start seeing those 365s being built up as well as the 370s, that's when I think this support could get broken. We could test these supports down here, but for the time being, I cannot be bearish for the most part, and then I cannot be bullish either. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to play this right now. I'm just going to short into the retest, just assume everything's going to happen as normal. What happens on FOMC is around 1 o'clock Central. You'll start seeing a big spike in volatility. What usually ends up happening is a lot of hedges are going to get rolled off into that. I'm not sure if this was the roll off already, but a lot of hedges are going to get rolled off into the FOMC, which will be about 1 o'clock. Let's roll to 1 o'clock here. Boom. So right about in this area here, we're going to see a lot of volatility. And depending on where we are, if we are right here, I would expect some kind of spike down into the support. But in the end, I think by the time the day is over, they're going to be probably well above this 380, 350, and then into the 3900, which is unbelievable to think that they could do that. But we've seen crazier moves than that. However, I'm going to assume that this support holds. If we're under it, yeah, a spike into 3750 makes sense. If not, then I think this is going to hold. Either way, I think 3850 and 3900 are very likely candidates for a move higher tomorrow as well. So just because of all the VIX that's going to be coming off, all the hedging and all that kind of stuff that's going on, let's take a look at the next expiry as well. So I'm looking at tomorrow's. Let's look at the next one just to get a picture in our head. Now this is closed. As of the close, the open interest is not updated on the gamma levels yet, so these gamma levels are going to take them with a grain of salt for now. Once open interest comes online tomorrow morning, this picture is going to change. So I'm going to keep it here on my tab. I'll be able to look at the difference in the morning. Same thing with this one as well. We'll look at tomorrow and Friday look at the differences. So 7.8, pretty big expiry. We can see the 370 still holding there, and then there's the 365. So we want to see a big move in that if you're bearish, big move in that if you're bearish, and 375 as well. They are building the 390s here, and you've got positive gamma at 373. That sort of tells me that 373 is going to act as a major support in the future. So somewhere in this little zone here, likely to get tested between now and Friday. Doesn't mean it has to, but it's likely, which would probably come tomorrow. So that would line up with what I'm doing here. And we got the supply and demand zones here for SPY. We came right up into supply on SPY, which is going to be a little bit different than your futures, but they usually line up. So you're right into this supply here. 373 would just take you right back to the low. So again, retesting the lows tomorrow, probably for a split second, and then breaking out into higher levels, which I would think there would be a massive sell coming from those higher levels. Anyways, hopefully you like this, and check out my next video a little bit later tonight about Tickeron if you're interested in that. If you like this kind of thing, make sure to leave a like and subscribe.